Let's dive right in with the residential redevelopment in the Ballston, Virginia Square area, specifically along Washington Boulevard. We've talked about this in the past, but made some headway at this month's meeting.
Sure did. We considered a project right there at the corner of Washington Boulevard and Kirkwood that's part of, as you alluded to, it's part of a bigger full block study. And we looked at a project that came before us, and it was for some additional density, but it also will result in some additional open space over time as we build out this full block. It's for a total of 225 units, of which really pleased that 16 of them will be affordable, and there's some multifamily affordable units in this project. I think it's a great project, and we had a full discussion. It's also energy efficient at LEED Silver, which is a standard that we use that's so important. And we had some community input with respect to there's a historic Balls Hill burial ground there, and we got some input from our commissions, our Historic Affairs Commission, and we're able to provide a little bit of a process that we'll take to make sure that we address the concerns to keep that space true to its original founding, but also see what we can do to find out who actually are the heirs to that cemetery. So that's a piece of what we did, and I was particularly pleased with that addition to make sure that we're addressing community concerns.
Mm-hmm. What were some of those concerns? Like, what was really the impetus behind this redevelopment project?
Well, I think there's an open space component that has been an interest. If you have gone by that corner, it almost feels like there's a former and a historic insurance agency from the 1950s that's still operating there, and so it really is going to look a lot better. And I think we took a look at both the renderings that we saw and also heard community input. So I think the community was really focused on the cemetery and making sure that in the middle of that block, it's a walkable area where they can find open space, and I think that was a good step.
Just to be clear, this is the area kind of where the Legion is.
That's right.
And a few other buildings similar to it in structure.
So we've talked about this for the last couple of years, and we did a study of that entire comprehensive block, as Matt mentioned, and the Legion project was the first specific project that was approved under this special GLUP study. This is the second one, and now we await the third piece of the puzzle. At some point we expect the YMCA to want to redevelop their property. And instead of looking at all of those individually and trying to deal with them individually, I'm really pleased that we looked at them comprehensively so that we can make sure there was appropriate density, appropriate infrastructure, that we figured out who should be responsible for delivering what level of infrastructure and when, and how we could have open space assets that actually benefit people beyond the development of this block.
Right. And of course, it also includes the affordable housing component, something which is always an issue here in Arlington. What are those components in detail?
Well, there's 16 units, of which 8 will be multifamily, and that's, we have really tried to focus on making sure that in these projects there is a multifamily component. That's where there's a real need. So there's also a cash contribution, which is under our Affordable Housing Investment Fund and under our ordinance. So those two components, I think, are actually going to make for a good affordable housing piece to this project. And that's above and beyond. There's investment that's coming in our water and wastewater system through this. The developers made a contribution there, and also some improvements to the signal right there at Washington and Kirkwood. So affordable housing, I think, is strong on this one, as are the total package of community benefits that are provided through it.
Mm-hmm. And then in addition to just kind of more modern looking structures as opposed to what's there now, it's a pretty high trafficked area, both vehicular but also pedestrian, bikes, that kind of thing. When this is all said and done, what are the folks who traverse through that area, and some who will be living in that area, what will they experience when it's all done?
So they're going to have wider sidewalks with which to traverse a very high traffic area through all modes. Remember, this is pretty close to two metro stations, in fact, Clarendon and Virginia Square. So we do expect a lot of multimodal connectivity, so we need wide sidewalks to accommodate it. Then you have, as Matt referenced, some improvements to stormwater management, where this site, because of a storm sewer that's running through it is going to relocate it, but has designed the building in such a way that they're going to deal with stormwater runoff and create some wonderful natural spaces that'll probably attract pollinators and also serve for stormwater management at the same time. So, it is fundamentally delivering some key improvements that even if you are not living in one of those 225 units, as you navigate around that area, we expect that it will be not only more pleasing, but also safer.